Beat this out as soon as you can with just kicking it, around my man. It's the Spoiler Kings, better than diamond rings. Wildcats football, Wildcats
All
football,
right, Steve.
Wildcats.
Here we are. Week 12? Is that right?
Week 12.
Feels like we've already been like a long time into week 12 with the Thanksgiving games. But would you like to say anything about the Thanksgiving games?
We were 2-0. Houston, Washington football team. So good start to the week. Lost out on the Pittsburgh Baltimore game. We got a lot of COVID activity there. So has that been pushed back to Tuesday now?
Yes.
The Tuesday, 8:00, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. We'll talk about that game later.
If it happens. Okay. All right. So let's get started with the remaining games for week 12. First game on the list is Las Vegas at Atlanta. Opened as a pick, and now it's -3 in favor of the Raiders. Your thoughts, Steve?
This is a tough game for me. Things I'm looking at is Las Vegas is 4-1 on the road. Atlanta's 1-4 at the inverse record at home, which kind of gets me to start thinking about the Raiders. I think that's probably why the line's going up as well. What do you think?
I like the Raiders here. I think they're coming off that close game with the Chiefs, and they're not going to catch the Chiefs in their division, so they're in the hunt for a wild card spot. They're sitting at 6-4, so they kind of need a win to stay in the race for the wild card spot.
So this is a good game to start with, just because we can kind of set the playoff picture now. I think we're deep enough into the season where we're getting into December games. You know, it's the end of November, and you got to start looking at what the playoff picture is. So this is impactful in the AFC. To make it short, basically you have 7 teams in each conference that gets into the playoffs this year, right? And if you take the teams that have won the division and have 7 or more wins as a wild card, that leaves one spot for the teams that have 6 wins. So that's Miami, Baltimore, and Oakland are basically, if the season ended this week, they'd be fighting for that one playoff spot. So Miami, Baltimore, Oakland. Oakland's one of those teams, so they're obviously playing in a higher pressure game and are playing for something. Atlanta, they're the Jekyll and Hyde. They're not really that good. So I wouldn't say Jekyll and Hyde like they're 500. They come out and play bad and lose games. Atlanta.
Atlanta is going to be without Todd Gurley, and Julio Jones is questionable.
Oh, that's huge, right? So then you're possibly just looking at Ridley and the tight end as far as offensive weapons go, if Julio can't play.
Yeah, Las Vegas doesn't have a great defense. They don't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So I think, Matt Ryan will be able to produce some. I think it could be a back and forth game. I think Vegas is clearly the better team. I worry a little bit about the travel because we don't really know how that's going to affect them traveling from the West Coast for a 1:00 game.
And Atlanta's a home dog.
But otherwise, as long as they show up, I think they have a clear path to victory.
So Oakland's sitting there at 6 wins, 6-4. You've got Atlanta. I believe they're 3-7. I would lean towards Vegas, but it's not really a huge pick for me or anything.
I would lean towards the over, which has actually come down a bit.
Would you play the over if Julio plays? Does not play,
Yeah.
Doesn't that impact it?
I think you can still get it done. You can run on Vegas. So with Todd Gurley being out, we'll see what the Brian Hill can do. I don't know. The run game could kind of be scripted out too. So
okay. So it's not a huge play for either of us. Let's move to the next game.
All right. So the next game is Arizona at New England. This one also opened as a pick, and it's now -2 in favor of Arizona. So I have to wonder how Kyler Murray's going to fare against Bill Belichick.
That's what I'm thinking about too. because he shows that he has a good defensive mindset to be able to stop that running quarterback type of offensive philosophy. But
I read an article earlier about Kyler Murray being short,
right,
that's kind of like a factor that they'll take advantage of. But they kind of compared him to Russell Wilson, and I went back and looked at how the Patriots had done versus Russell Wilson, and there was 3 meetings in the last 5 years or so, one being the Super Bowl. But the other 2 games, Seattle actually won. So,
yeah, my question is like, does Arizona have enough talent that they can overcome that? You know, I know he's a running quarterback, but you know, do they have any wide receiver injuries?
No. Now, Kyler Murray was dealing with a shoulder issue, but he's not on the injury report.
He got hurt.
So
he didn't even come. He came out of the game and then went back in when it happened during the game last week. I'm leaning towards Arizona here. It's like a small play on Arizona. Similar situations, you know, recently have kind of taken New England, but for some reason, I just feel like this is an Arizona win. They got to win to stay in the thick of things in the NFC West. They're 6-4, 1 game behind Seattle and the Rams, who are tied for first. So this is a huge game for Arizona. New England kind of really doesn't have a shot at the playoffs. They're sitting at 4-6.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm on Arizona there too.
Okay. Next game's the Giants at Cincinnati. Cincinnati came in. They were a 3-point favorite, actually, and now the line is New York Giants -6. So
that's obviously because Joe Burrow is out, and it will be Brandon Allen starting.
Yes.
Do you know anything about Brandon Allen?
Yeah, I do know a little bit about Brandon Allen. Did you want to start, or were you really wanting to know what I know?
No, I wanted to know what you know, because I don't know anything. And there's a lot of Allen, so I get them all mixed up.
All right, so I did do a little bit of research. I mean, Brandon Allen is a quarterback who he was on the Denver Broncos last year and did get 3 starts. He was 1-2. First game he started. What's that?
I don't even remember him.
Well, the first game that he started, he looked really good against Cleveland, and he won. Then he lost the next 2. So he came out firing and then struggled the 2 games that he got to start, and then he was out of there. So they picked him up early in the season. He's basically jumping the was it Parker or Parkey that was the quarterback last week? They came at Finley.
Ryan Finley.
Yeah, so Finley goes back to the backup quarterback spot. So that's the story as much as I know about Brandon Allen.
Okay.
Any thoughts on the game?
I think I got to take the Giants. I mean, I know, like, should the Giants be a 6-point favorite on the road? But I think their defense is quietly good, and Cincinnati's defense is not good. And this is going to be probably the worst defense that the Giants have faced. I mean, they've played Pittsburgh, LA, the Bucks, the Eagles twice, Washington twice. The only other time they played a team with a crappy defense was when they played Dallas, and they lost that game, but they lost 34-37. So they put up some points there. So I think they can put up some points against the Bengals defense.
So you remember how I was talking about we should start segments, and I wanted to start a Jive Turkey segment for like a team that like it's going to be the Jive Turkey of the week or the bad play. I think if we were doing the Jive Turkey, the Giants would be my Jive Turkey this week. Absolutely. I think I almost want to just say, you said enough. They're 6-point favorites on the road. Stop right there. Done. Drop the mic. The Giants are 6-point favorites on the road.
It's less than a touchdown.
The Giants stink. Everybody's in love with them, think they're going to win the division. And I got news for you. The team that's going to win the NFC East.
This just sounds like a little bitterness
is the Washington football team. It's not
from an Eagles
the Giants.
fan.
No, I'm telling you, the Washington football team, not the Eagles. I digress. I'm getting away from this game. Here's the deal. Brandon Allen has won an NFL game in the past. So, you know, what you worry about here is when you get the rotating quarterbacks, you don't really know much. He's won a game in the past, so you know that he is at least good enough to win a game.
But he spent the majority of the season on the practice squad.
As opposed to, you get some of these guys that come in that are just like, you've seen some really poor quarterback play. Guys have gotten shot for like 1 week look so bad, and they've, basically been cut. Like the guy from the Dallas Cowboys that was throwing sidearm against the Eagles, right? So I have enough confidence in this guy, Allen, to take Cincinnati. And this is the other reason why. Everybody and their mother is going to be on the Giants. That's when you go the other way. It's similar to the Denver game last week.
But would you
Denver won outright against Miami.
Would you actually
Cincinnati?
Would you actually take Cincinnati?
Yes, I'm telling you that's one of my best plays of the week.
Okay.
Cincinnati.
All right, we're gonna mark that down.
It's in the category of Denver last week, where nobody's looking, and they're gonna win outright. I'm not saying they're gonna win outright here. They may. They're 6 points on the. Forget about outright. It doesn't matter. Take the 6 points. It's 6 points. It's the Giants. I mean, come on.
They also, Cincinnati doesn't have Joe Mixon.
On the road.
Giovanni Bernard is questionable.
He'll play.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
They've got good wide receivers.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next game where we have another third string quarterback playing. So Cleveland at Jacksonville.
PJ.
Huh?
PJ.
Who's PJ?
He's a quarterback at Carolina. Who's quarterback in Carolina?
We're not talking about Carolina.
Oh, you got a different list.
How do I have a different list?
Cleveland, Jacksonville. Okay, I got you.
Yep. Okay. All right.
I jumped a game.
You did. Okay. So Cleveland, Jacksonville. Jacksonville is benching Jake Luton, which I feel is a little bit unfair because they played Pittsburgh last week, and Pittsburgh's a tough defense.
Yeah, they are.
I think he played some good games. So now they're starting Mike Glennon, and I'm curious to get your thoughts about Mike Glennon, because I've kind of heard like both sides of this. Like some people say he's decent and some people say he's just horrible.
The Mike Glennon that I'm familiar with, the quarterback for Tampa Bay, and he was decent. He had a couple wins. He might actually beat the Eagles one game, but he was decent. I mean, he obviously wasn't great because he would have had another starting shot with somebody else before now.
So Jacksonville's going to be without DJ Shark, Chris Conley, who I guess is like the third wide receiver anyway. And I read an article saying he basically said he has nothing to lose.
He said nothing to win with.
So, I mean, maybe he's going to try to air it out. I still don't really know what to make of Cleveland. I haven't like seen enough of them. And like recent memory is those bad weather games. So I really don't know what they are.
Similar to last game, Cleveland. And again, their record is 7-3. Good record. That's like the disclosure here.
Who did they play last week?
The Eagles.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. Like they beat the Eagles.
So, I
big,
mean, they
big do. 7-3, paper champion. And I want to take Jacksonville here because similar to the game we just talked about with the Giants, Cleveland is a touchdown favorite on the road. Against who? I mean, I know Jacksonville stinks, but should Cleveland be a 7-point favorite on the road?
Well,
it's
probably
a crazy week. I think this
more so than the Giants should be, I guess, because at least their record supports it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, they're also in kind of the same situation. They're not in their division. They're not going to catch Pittsburgh. So they're at 7-3. They're in the hunt for a wild card spot. So they need the victory.
Yeah, they're one of the 7.
I mean, Jacksonville doesn't have a great defense. They don't have a great run defense. So I think Cleveland will be able to run the ball.
Well, they're sitting at 7-3. They get the playoff spot tied with whoever doesn't win the division in the South between Indy and Tennessee, who are tied at 7-3. So they're definitely right in the football playoff mix, which is crazy. But I mean, this isn't. I want to take Jacksonville here. I would not take Cleveland. There's no way in hell I would take Cleveland here. I hesitate to put a play on Jacksonville because it's Brandon out, or it's
Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah, why play this game?
All right. So next game is Carolina at Minnesota. And before you start talking about PJ Walker, Teddy Bridgewater is back. And this is a revenge game for him because Minnesota was the team that drafted him and gave up on him after he had his injury. So this one involves Minnesota. So I hate to even make a pick on this game.
I didn't know Bridgewater was back. I'm going to be completely honest with you. And it totally, I was probably going to say, don't touch this game. I don't like it. If I was going to, I wouldn't play Minnesota, similar to I wouldn't play Cleveland.
And then
but now that you're telling me Bridgewater's back, I kind of like Carolina, but I just heard that now.
So, I mean, you can run on Carolina. Carolina is probably like the worst run defense in the league. So, I mean, that sets up Minnesota to do exactly what they want to do and run Dalvin Cook. We also have Adam Thielen out. So
that's big.
I mean, I guess if Carolina can go out and score some points, then maybe they can knock Minnesota off their game plan and make it a competitive game. But I mean, Minnesota's defense is kind of trash, especially their secondary. So I think Teddy Bridgewater can throw on them.
Carolina's going to have to jump out to a lead here, kind of get Minnesota out of the run game.
Well, and then I think with Adam Thielen out, they could really get there. But that's probably their path to victory.
So let's talk FanDuel for a second. So what's the impact there? Would you play the kid from LSU?
Who's the kid from LSU?
Jefferson.
Well, I don't know, because if Dalvin Cook's going to run for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, which he could on them, then
is Dalvin Cook a must play? Because consider Dalvin Cook's going to be the most expensive player probably.
He's $11,000 on FanDuel. I mean, it's tough.
And that's huge. That's big compared to normal, right?
Yeah.
Usually he's like around 10,
high.
maybe 9 something.
Because I think even last year,
9,000.
Christian McCaffrey was in the 10s for the most part.
Yeah, 11,000 is huge. So would it?
I mean, it's tough.
This is the question. Do you consider Dalvin Cook with this matchup? Because you always say Carolina can't stop the run. You say it every week. So do you consider Dalvin Cook like a must start? Like you have to start with Dalvin Cook and then find the cheaper guys to build around him. Or is it just too much money?
Well, you've got to make that decision which way you're going to go in the lineup, because if you're going to start him, you got to get some value elsewhere.
So you build your lineups tomorrow?
Generally, yeah.
Are you leaning towards? Or you
I'm going to have
really
him in some lineups for sure.
Okay.
But it's tough. I mean, there's some value opening up maybe at some other running back spots if you think like
his counterpart
with Gurley
Davis.
Out. Mike Davis?
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't been terribly involved in the past few games. Yeah. So, but I mean, you got like Brian Hill. He's cheap. We passed over the Giants, but Wayne Gallman.
I love Gallman, but
I mean, he's cheap.
Like I said, I like Cincinnati in that game. But I like Gallman.
The other issue with a tight end, it's really tough. So if you're going to pay up for like a Kelsey or a Waller, then that makes it even harder to make a lineup with Cook in there.
Oh yeah, because you're paying top dollar for a tight end. If I'm going expensive on a guy like that, that's tight ends where I'm looking to make the money up, right?
And they took Taysom Hill out of the tight end spot. So
everybody probably played him. Okay, so let's go back to what's the next game? I mean, what do you say, Carolina, Minnesota?
I feel like every time I make a pick in a Minnesota game, it goes the opposite way.
All right, let's just move on.
But I'm going to take the points on Carolina.
Okay, you're going to take Carolina in the points. It's 3.5. It opened up at 3.5. I see some places down to 3.
Yeah, 3.5 is good if it's a 3-point game.
I like Carolina, maybe the over.
I like the over.
Yeah, I like the over.
That's gone up 2 points to 51.
I really like the over there.
So.
Okay. Tennessee is next up on the card. That's a 1:00 game. They're traveling to Indianapolis, so it's a division matchup, battle for the top division spot.
Now this is a rematch they played
South.
A couple weeks ago where Indy did win 34-17, but that was kind of a weird game where they had some bad plays from the punter.
The punter was horrible in that game. We had Tennessee.
He shanked a kick, and then did they block one or something?
Yeah.
And then I think Gostkowski missed a field goal too. So, but we also have Rivers is suffering from a toe injury. The Colts have 2 of their defensive linemen, DeForest Buckner and Denico Autry, are out on the COVID list.
DeForest Buckner's huge.
And a linebacker, Bobby, I don't know how you say his last name, Okurek, is out with an ankle injury.
That's good too.
So I feel
DeForest
like-
Buckner stabilized that defensive line, so PT teams haven't really been able to run.
Well, yeah, so that's
And,
what
it's Tennessee, it's Derrick Henry. You need big bodies to stop them.
yeah. So I'm kind of liking that. I mean, I think it's a must win for Tennessee, and maybe I'm biased here. I got my Tannehill Henry shirt on today. But
You know where
they're
the pick's going.
both teams are sitting at 7-3. The Titans have already lost to the Colts, so a loss here is brutal for them in terms of the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm looking for a split here.
So,
I
and
like
the
Tennessee.
toe injury kind of worries me for Rivers.
The line's
For
3,
sure.
right? Open up at 4.5, down to 3. I think you take Tennessee here, look for a split in the series, and the two teams continue to battle it out through the end of December for the division title.
So I'm on Tennessee there for sure.
All right. Agreed.
Of course, I think I've been on Tennessee every week, but
Agreed.
all right. So the next game is the LA Chargers coming to Buffalo. And I mean, I think this would probably be a high scoring game, a back and forth type game. The LA Chargers seem to always be in close games. And I think the Bills probably win, but I don't know if I would take them at a 4. It opened at a 6. It's down to a 4. I would probably take the over. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this one. So I'd probably take the points on the Chargers there. Your thoughts?
I love Buffalo.
Really? You think they win by 4?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they win by more than 4, a lot more than 4. I don't necessarily agree with the overcall either, because I think this is going to be domination by Buffalo.
I don't know that the Buffalo defense has not been like the historical Buffalo defense. I mean, you look at, they played, was it Arizona? It was a back and forth game. They've had a lot of more shootout type games this year than previously.
Yeah, I think this is a get right game for them. I think the Chargers coming across town, all the way across the country. 1:00 start, so it's early in the morning.
And Austin Eckler might be back in this one for the Chargers.
Might be back after missing 2 months. That's killed my fantasy squads because I've had him in every league. It doesn't change what I think, though, because I think when Eckler comes back,
But also,
he isn't. It's not like, okay, he got an extra week of rest and he's even more energized. They try to get him back the last 2 weeks. He was originally supposed to be back like week 9, I think, maybe week 10. Now we're heading into week 12 and he may play. So he's not right. I think when he gets back, he's going to take a game or two to kind of get into the flow of things. So he doesn't really concern me. I think that when you get into Buffalo in this game, in this situation, you get the young quarterback who's flourished and done pretty well. I think they're going to stymie him. I think he's due for a bad game.
I think you're giving the Bills defense too much credit. I also will mention that John Brown is going to be out. And while I generally wouldn't think that that's a big deal, I think if you look back at the games that Buffalo has played, it seems like the games where he wasn't on the field were the games where they struggled a little bit more than they had. So I think he probably draws a little coverage away from Diggs at least.
Do you feel like making this one of our bets between you and I? Let's lock it in at 4. I see it 4 at most places. Open at 6. I see 2 4.5s.
I like Buffalo though. I don't want to bet this game.
It's just going on and on about it. I like the Chargers and I don't like
No, I
Buffalo's
said I
defense.
think
And they're
the
not
Bills
the same
will
Buffalo's
win.
defense.
I think the Bills win.
But we're talking about the spread
But I
here.
don't think I don't think they win by 4. I think it's
Boom.
going to be a close game.
So
I
you
think
like
it's
the
going to be a back and
Chargers.
forth game.
So
No, I'm
you
not going to
like
let
the
you spoil
Chargers.
this because I have a way of losing every bet I make with you. So I don't want to make a
happened
bet
last
on a
week?
game that I actually like.
Do you have your wallet
I
with
don't
you?
know, but I lost. I know that.
Hey, where's
I don't
your
even
wallet?
remember what game it was.
Where's my 20s?
You took them, so.
Well, I think a way that we can make up for you not having your money after the podcast. But I'm on Buffalo.
Okay.
Circle the wagons. The Buffalo Bills are coming to town. This is probably where they start to kick in and take control of this division. They're only 1 game ahead of Miami. I look for them to distance themselves the next couple of weeks.
All right. I'm taking the points on the Chargers. So next game.
So you're betting.
But I'm not betting it. I'm not betting you because you're not going to ruin it for me.
Take the Bills.
Next game is Miami at the Jets. Now we have Tua, who I actually just found out today is a left-handed quarterback. Did you know that?
You and I sat down and watched a 3-hour game of the Dolphins earlier this season where he was quarterback. You just
Earlier this season,
noticed
he's
that
only
now?
been starting for like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Didn't we watch a full game and then a game on replay when they were playing the Cardinals? And you're just noticing he's a lefty? Anyway, that kind of sticks out to you when you see a lefty, playing quarterback. To me, it does.
So
Well, I'm a lefty thrower, so I notice it right away.
You're
a
not.
lefty too.
I am left-handed. You are not left-handed.
No, you are full left. I'm ambidextrous.
Which hand do you write with?
My right.
There you go.
If I throw with my left, I bat with my left.
Just want to
Anyway.
be a lefty.
Nobody cares about this. Miami at the Jets.
Okay, so Tua does have an injury to the thumb on his left, aka his throwing hands. So it's not 100% who the quarterback is going to be at this point. So it could be Fitzpatrick. It will be Sam Darnold for the Jets.
Oh, no more Flacco.
I think either
Bye-bye,
way,
Joe.
I would take Miami. It's a -7 in favor of Miami. I would probably prefer Fitzpatrick, although he did come in last week and pull a typical Fitzpatrick. He had the chance to tie the game
Threw an interception
and throw a pick
for
like
the end zone.
15 yards. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
so that makes a big difference for me because I'm kind of leaning like this. Lay off it if Tua is the quarterback. If Fitz is the quarterback, I like it.
Yeah, I
I
like
like it a lot.
I like it better with Fitz. But again, it's the Jets, and I refuse to take the Jets. So
It probably shouldn't matter who's the quarterback since it is the Jets. The Miami Dolphins have been playing good football this year.
and I almost feel like the Jets have been more competitive with Flacco than with Darnold. So
Yeah. I wasn't really going to make this a pick, but if Fitz is playing quarterback, I say yes, Miami.
and Miami's
Give
been
up a touchdown.
pretty good against the pass. They've struggled against the run, and I think the Jets are still running out Frank Gore. So that doesn't really scare me too much.
All right. What about the next game?
So next game is the Saints traveling to Mile High to take on Denver. So we saw Taysom Hill for the first time last week. And that game kind of played out the way that I thought. I mean, the Saints defense held Matt Ryan and the Falcons to 3 field goals. And I think that's kind of with Breeze going down, the defense was going to step up. They did it last week. I think they'll do it again this week. And I think they're way more than Drew Lock can handle.
Yeah, this game has me twisted because I had Denver last week. It's a great upset. I like Drew Lock. I want to take Denver here. But something's just telling me like the Saints without Drew Brees just continue to win.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing that would worry me is like the altitude. Is that going to affect their defense? And if they're going to score points, we're still looking at Taysom Hill to.
Yeah, that's
Do
the
that.
thing. Like let's say Denver jumps out to a lead, and
I
then
think,
you got to rely on Taysom Hill to throw the ball.
Well,
The game last week went perfect for the way that they needed the game to go.
I mean, he threw the ball like to Michael Thomas over and over again. Michael Thomas was on the injury report, but I think he's off.
Well, I would too if I was him. I would just keep pumping him. There was a lot of gadget plays too, where they lined him up, threw the ball around to somebody else. Like
Well, that's
I think
the
Denver should be ready for that a little bit more. I mean, you figure that Taysom Hill's they're going to rely on that, but once you get it on film and can practice against it,
yeah. I just
a
think at the
little
end of the day, I think the New Orleans Saints defense is going to be way too much for Drew Lock.
that's blinking. Does it matter?
What is?
That-
It always blinks. It
Okay.
blinks the whole time. If it's not blinking, that's when it's a problem.
Okay.
All right. So, do you have a pick?
Yeah, small Denver.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah.
It's 6 points. New Orleans on the road, and I probably won't play it. I mean, no, I'm going to play Denver. I know I will by Sunday, but it's
I mean,
tough because they were 5-0 last year. The Saints with Teddy Bridgewater as a backup. They won last week with Drew Brees out. It's hard to go against them, but if there's ever a road like difficult place, even with no fans, because it doesn't matter about the fans with the altitude. You touched base on that earlier. The altitude is tough to play in, and New Orleans isn't used to it. They don't go to Denver. When do they go to Denver? Once every 6 years, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that would worry me. But I still think that I I mean, the defense, look what they did to Matt Ryan last week. You don't think they,
Exactly.
he's a more experienced quarterback than Drew Lock is.
I know, and I like Drew Lock. I think he goes on a roll. So I small play Denver here. Next game.
All right, I'm taking the Saints.
Okay.
Next game is San Francisco at the Rams. This opened at a -7 in favor of the Rams. It's -6.5. And I'll get your thoughts on this one first.
I just don't know how you could go 49ers here.
Really? Because I'm going 49ers here.
I mean, it's not a play for me. I don't like the Rams that much. It's just that, we talked before about how good the Rams are at home. They're undefeated. They're 4-0 so far this season. But I'll let you talk because it sounds like you like the Niners.
I went back and looked, and the Rams, out of 3 out of the last 4, the Rams have lost to the 49ers. Now, the 49ers did have Garoppolo in those games. But I don't know that he's not that great. I think it just comes down to Kyle Shanahan versus McVay. And Kyle Shanahan, I think, is just the better coach. They're coming off the bye. They're going to get Richard Sherman back, and Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson will also be back. So I just think that they're going to be prepared, and it's a big number, 7. So I think, maybe the Rams win, but I don't think they win by that.
I just want to point out, like you just said that San Fran has beat them 3 out of 4 times.
Yes.
Right. And I feel like you said the same thing like 2 weeks ago when Seattle came to town against the Rams.
Okay.
Is that true? Do you think? Do you feel like that's true? So it's just ironic, it's the same spot. They're coming in. It's not a night game like that Seattle game was, but San Fran's coming in, division rival, into LA where they play strong at home, and the Niners have beat them 3 out of 4 times.
Yeah.
And what happened in the Seattle game where the Rams rolled? It's a lot of points. As much as I don't like the Rams, I feel like this is another, when we talk about ebbs and flows of the season, this is a Rams spot. And San Fran has not, I know they're getting guys back like you said, but they come back a little rusty first week. San Fran has not looked very good the last couple of weeks. I'm on the Rams small play.
Okay.
You like the Niners?
I do.
All righty.
I don't feel good about it, but I feel like Kyle.
I don't feel good about it either.
Kyle Shanahan has.
It's not a big pick.
McVay's number, I think.
All right, let's move to the next game. The next game on the card is a 4:25 game. The Kansas City Chiefs heading to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kansas City opened up as a 3-point favorite. I see 3.5 on the board. Personally, you're going to give me a hook with Tom Brady at home? I'm all over it. I don't care who the hell they're playing.
I want to take Tampa Bay. I just don't know. I really don't.
I like it at 3. I'm all over to 3.5. I love that hook.
Yeah, I would probably.
I love it.
I hope it's a close game.
They're begging you to take Tampa there.
Well, yeah. I think
but it's really a playoff last week. He hasn't looked good.
No.
But it's a matter of time. There's so much talent on that team. And has Tom Brady ever really failed in a situation? He hasn't won every Super Bowl, but
I think it comes down to Arians and him. I don't think that they're necessarily on the same page.
This is crunch time, right? It kind of doesn't matter what has happened between September and November, as long as you've won enough games to put yourself in a position to win a division or make the playoffs as a wild card, right? So this is really kind of where you're going to see, are they going to congeal and play good, solid offense? They have so much talent on that team. And be what I'm looking at as a Super Bowl contender, but they're not a Super Bowl contender the way they played the last 2 weeks.
Now, okay.
I think this is where, last week you're kind of thinking Tom Brady's not going to fall on his face again. And then he kind of did. He didn't look as bad as he did against the Saints, but they lost the game, right? And he had plenty of opportunity. He did nothing in the second half. So I think the line going up to 3.5 is telling me that the public has seen enough. And, let's get Tampa. Kansas City's best team in the league. True. All true. I'm taking Tampa, though. I like them. I really like them here. And I told myself maybe 5 weeks ago I wouldn't go against Kansas City. Why bother? I think they're against the spread. They're 17-1 in their last 18, something ridiculous like that. I think they haven't covered the spread a couple times in the last few weeks, but they've been really good in the last 2 years against the spread.
Now,
All that being said, I like Tampa.
Tom Brady against Mahomes he's won 2 out of 3. The one loss being last year when the Patriots kind of started going downhill.
In the playoffs?
But that was Brady and Belichick, not Brady and Arians.
Oh, no, that was in the regular season.
Yeah.
They didn't play in the playoffs. They didn't get past the Tennessee Titans. Okay. So you like Tampa? No.
I don't feel good about it, but I'm going to hope for a close game.
Is there a situation you would take Kansas City here? Like, I'm just saying, let's say you get to Sunday. Do you feel like you'd take Kansas City, or is it more like Tampa or nothing?
I don't know. I think Kansas City wins. Do they win by more than 3.5? I mean, I hope it's a close game. I don't necessarily
if you think Kansas City's going to win the game, you got to take Kansas City. That's what I would always tell you. It's tough to say I like this team, but to lose, but they'll cover the spread.
I mean,
sometimes it makes sense on a huge dog, but
it's picking the historical Tom Brady that could come back in any situation versus the Tom Brady that I've seen with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, so the feel is that's not Tom Brady yet, right? With Tampa, but he maybe going to get there, right?
But does he get there from last week to this week? I don't think so.
That's the thing. Is our expectations of Tom Brady really fair? The guy's 41, 42 years old. You know, I'm watching him play and I'm like, nah. I mean, we started seeing signs of deterioration, serious signs, like with the pick 6 in the playoffs last year.
Well, but I think that's also the differentiation with Arians. Arians, the guy that wants to throw the ball downfield. That's never was Tom Brady's game.
Well, you know, that's where you would think that guys like Godwin would do a lot better because he's good at the slot, like your Edelman, right? Always got the huge yards.
Or like Gronk.
Or Gronk, which they happen to have.
Yeah, and haven't really used.
You know, they got Braid as well. So I agree because Arians likes to throw the ball to his receivers downfield. The thing I thought is that, well, if you look at New England, they really haven't had any good receivers, you know, in the outside historically throughout his career. You know, you got Randy Moss, and look what they did. They were amazing together. But point is that with all the talent in Tampa, I would think that with maybe him losing a little arm strength and not being able to get the ball downfield, because, you know, I have seen Tom Brady throw the ball downfield and very well. I mean, he can do it. Maybe it's not his strength, let's say, but not to the point where I'd say, hey, it's not a fit with Arians. Well, Arians needs to adjust a little bit more and throw the ball in the middle of the field, right?
Well, I think so. And they also don't have that pass catching back that they need, I think. Like that James White type player. Because Ronald Jones isn't that guy.
Well, I think Ronald Jones could be that guy. Like I think he's a better running back, and he's not just the scat back, which I think is what you're referring to. But Ronald Jones is really good out of the backfield catching the ball. I think honestly, I feel like the major problem with that team right now in the backfield is that they even went out and got Leonard Fournette. Like they didn't need him. And he's just taking carries away from Ronald Jones, who I think would be having probably one of the best years. And he already is, but he's losing carries to Fournette. I think that if the focus was on him,
I actually saw a mention of LaShawn McCoy today in some articles, and I almost think that would be a good approach, is to bring him in and let him catch some passes.
Well, because he's
But I don't think they'll do that.
I mean, the LaShawn McCoy of old, because we got to preface it by saying LaShawn's starting to get up there in age too, was phenomenal catching the ball out of the backfield. Get him in open space, he's really good at making moves.
So I guess
but again,
the bottom line,
LaShawn McCoy of 10 years ago.
The bottom line in this game is who wins when it comes to the game plan. Is it going to be Arians or Brady? And if it's Arians, I think they lose the game. If it's Brady, I think maybe they keep it close.
Yeah, this is an ebb and flow game. This is either Tampa Bay, right, comes back and they shocking people, beating Kansas City. Or maybe this is where it totally blows up on Tampa Bay, and then the next week is when they start making their build up to gradually competing in the playoffs.
Now, I also think that they have some injuries on the offensive line. So I think if they get this Marpet guy back, that maybe they'll be better off. Because I mean, Kansas City's defense isn't great, but I think they can get through to Brady. So, I mean, that could be a
Look, I really like Tampa. I really like Tampa here. They're going to smoke them.
So, all right.
Take the points. I mean, you're a home dog. Live home dog Tom Brady. Home dog Tom Brady, let's go.
All right, moving on. So the next game on here is Chicago at Green Bay. It's opened at 7.5 in favor of Green Bay. It's up to 9.5 in favor of Green Bay. Now, these teams, this is division, right?
It is.
They have not played yet this year.
Right. They played the last week of the season.
Green Bay has won 3 out of the last 4 games. I mean, Chicago does have a good defense. They've been pretty low scoring games. The most that Green Bay put up in any one of those 4 was 24 points. So I feel like, I mean, as much as it hurts, and I should mention it is going to be Mitch Trubisky back at quarterback, who I think gives them a better chance to win than Nick Foles has given them recently.
That's scary.
But I think it's just a lot of points with a good defense that I don't think I can take Green Bay at -9.5. What do you think?
2 words, Mitch Trubisky, right? I mean, this is logic tells you Green Bay all day. Mitch Trubisky's like not good, but to your point, Nick Foles has not been moving the ball. So I'm saying all this stuff like logic tells you, but I would, if I had to play the game, I would take the Bears just because it's 9.5. It's a division battle. I know it's on the road, but they know each other well, and it's very hard to predict these games straight up, let alone you're going to give me 9.5 points.
I mean, I guess the only thing you could say, like Chicago doesn't have really any run game at this point. So, I mean, that kind of makes it a little bit easier on the.
Well, the thing is that Mitch Trubisky does give them a little bit of a run game because he is a running quarterback. Not, Lamar Jackson, but he's definitely mobile. He definitely will try to run the ball to spark the offense, especially in lieu of an actual running game from the running backs. So I agree with you there. I don't love the game, but I like it from a standpoint of it's a division battle and you're going to give me 9.5 points. I have the public keeps betting it up to double digits, and I will definitely take Chicago here and just grin and bear it. I think, sometimes you can't rule out the factor of like, this was Mitch Trubisky's team, right? He was the top draft pick. He was the man. He lost his job. I mean, he lost his job earlier this season. So when you're sitting on the bench after losing a team, starting job for a team that you've been the quarterback and supposedly the savior for 2 or 3 years, you have a lot of time to think about it and prep yourself. And you're probably going to see Mitch Trubisky's best effort in this game. Yeah, so that wouldn't surprise me if you see him to start throwing the ball around and then all of a sudden you got 9 points and a Mitch Trubisky who looks like he wants to get the starting job back when Nick Foles gets healthy. I could see this going to Chicago.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that would worry me there is that he was out with a shoulder injury. So I don't know,
Well, they wouldn't start him if you couldn't throw the ball. I get your point, but.
Well, I mean, did they rush him back a week?
Yeah, who knows how long he lasts? He might not be in the game.
I don't know. But I mean, I like it better with Mitch Trubisky than Nick Foles.
At this point, I agree because Nick just has not looked good. But
all right. So, yeah, I mean, I think you got to hold your nose.
If you got to play Chicago, hold your nose.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Baltimore no, you want to go to Seattle?
Well, we'll talk about this game because we don't know if this game is going to even go at this point. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. It was supposed to be the Thanksgiving night game. Got moved to Sunday. Now it's moved to Tuesday. Today, Lamar Jackson was positive for COVID.
The whole team's getting it. Both running backs, right?
So I
Dobbins
guess
and Ingram.
If Lamar Jackson can't play, it's RG3 at quarterback.
RG3 in Pittsburgh. I hope this game plays. That line will go up to 17.
So I don't know what they do with this game now because the bye weeks are almost over. Baltimore Pittsburgh. One of them actually has a Thursday night game this week. So it kind of screws up next week too. So
that'll push that game back too. There'll be no Thursday night game.
Yeah. I guess it's going to depend on how many positive tests come out the next couple of days. So I guess if they don't have any positive tests, they'll play the game and it'll be RG3.
If I'm Baltimore, I would like to postpone this game till after the season somehow.
I mean,
I think
huge.
They're trying to talk about it like a 1 week buffer if they need it. So that would be a game you could play in there. And then Baltimore goes and plays the Thursday night game. Is that who's scheduled Thursday night, Baltimore?
I can't remember who it is. You'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems unfair to make Baltimore at this point in the season play the game without their quarterback and their running backs. And apparently it was a coach that's taken the fall for this.
Really?
Yeah. So somebody got like disciplined, one of the coaches. So, I mean, it's a division battle. If it's Lamar Jackson in there, I probably take the points.
Baltimore, Dallas. Does that sound right? Baltimore, Dallas.
Well, if you're
Thursday
looking
night.
at the schedule,
It has a date. So it's December 3rd. Doesn't
Yes,
say
that would be it.
Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday.
that would be it. Sounds right.
Yeah, so this is tough.
All right,
You don't
so
even know
it's
if the
hard to-
game's going
it's
on.
hard to
So
say.
it's hard to even
I mean, I
talk
think if it's
about.
going to be RG3, you're probably going to take Pittsburgh if that's the line, but
Okay.
I don't know if the line will change.
Just
I'm
keep in mind
surprised
they
there's
handled
even-
Baltimore earlier this season, right?
Pittsburgh. But that was a
Yeah.
fluky game. It was the bad weather. I mean, there's a ton of turnovers.
Well, fluky, they handed it to them.
So,
They handed them one that day. All right, so the game's probably not even going to go off, but if it does, look for strong play at Pittsburgh if RG3 is playing against Baltimore.
but I
for
mean, I would
Baltimore,
assume that line's
obviously.
going to change if it's RG3.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, definitely. I would say if RG3 plays and this game goes off, take Pittsburgh anywhere under 17.5.
Wow. Okay.
RG3 is horrible.
All right. So last game, saving the best for last, Steve, is the Monday night game. Seattle coming to Philly. And this opened at a -3 in favor of Seattle. It's up to -5.5. I'm actually surprised it's not higher. The over-under has gone down from 53 to 50. I can only assume that that's maybe wondering whether Philly can put up some points. But I wanted to get this out before you interrupt me. We have Russell Wilson, who leads the league in touchdowns, and Carson Wentz, who leads the league in interceptions. Your thoughts on the game, Steve?
Well, for me, for Doug Peterson and the Eagles, this is one of those games where you burn the ships. When you get out of the locker room to play this game, you burn the ships, and the team knows they have nowhere to go. They're not going home. They got to sit there and play football and come together as a team. I mean, there's no other ifs, ands, or buts about it, because now you've played yourself in a position where you've lost so many games that the rest of the division, who sucks, have caught up. If you lose this game, Washington's got the clear lead, and if the Giants win, they'll be tied with Washington, a half game in front of the Eagles.
And there ain't no wild card for you guys.
So I'm going to tell you this. I think this game, it started at 3. It's up to 5.5. I think this game looks like Seattle all day, especially the way the Eagles have played. They look horrible, right? The thing to remember is this is revenge for the playoffs, and Carson Wentz was knocked silly at the end of that game. And it's one of the problems that we might be dealing with Carson Wentz that nobody's really talking about, is that was a severe concussion, helmet to helmet, with Jadeveon Clowney running full speed from behind. Got him right in the back of the top of the head. He was silly for like 3 months. And then he comes back. I think he might still be feeling some effects from that. But I'll tell you this. This is the game where it's doom and gloom. It looks like the Eagles are about to cash it in for the season. And then they turn around and win the game.
I've been waiting for that. I've been thinking that week was last week and the week before and the week before and the week before. And it just hasn't happened, that I'm to the point where I don't think it is. Now, these Monday night games, I feel like, are always the games that could go the opposite way. So I almost kind of want to take Philly, but I just don't think I can do it.
Yes, you can.
I can't.
Yes, you can.
I can, and
This
I
is the
especially
week.
can't, because I would be so pissed.
Everybody's going to take Seattle this week.
I don't know.
Everybody's going to take Seattle this week.
I really don't.
Plus, it's 5.5. They still lose the game by 3.
I would need more like 7.5. 7.5, I'll consider it. I might just not touch it. I mean, I think Seattle's clearly the better team.
DJ Metcalf frightens me with that secondary.
I also heard Lane Johnson is out now.
No.
Yes, absolutely. Heard that on the radio.
Are you sure?
And they're moving Jason Peters and
To left tackle?
some guy. No, out. Wasn't he at left tackle?
Yeah, he was a left tackle.
So they're moving him somewhere else because he was playing so horrible at left tackle. Now, does that change your opinion?
Still dealing with his ankle injury. I'm looking this up.
Pretty
I'm
sure they
shocked.
said he's out for the season.
Who?
Lane Johnson.
For the season? They're still trying to guess whether he's playing this week. He did not participate. The rest of the week will determine his availability against the Seahawks. Johnson can't play on Monday night. It's likely Jordan Mailata will fill in. So that's interesting because Jordan Mailata is the rugby player from Australia who was signed as an undrafted free agent like 3 years ago, and it's like the ultimate reclamation, like ultimate project.
Well, I thought that's who they were moving to.
That's who they're moving.
Peters.
That's who they're moving to. Well, they're saying that he'd play for Johnson.
I swear to God, I heard he's out.
This was yesterday. This was published yesterday.
Yeah, so I heard it today.
No, this one. Well,
moving
this one was
Jason
updated.
Peters to right guard.
Whoa.
What?
No, this actually says he's officially done for the season. This next one.
Did I not just say that?
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't make this stuff
during the
up.
2020 season.
I heard it.
That is trouble. All right, you know what? Seahawks. I'm out. Carson's done. This is the week that Carson probably starts his last game. If they can't protect this guy with Jason Peters and Jordan Mailata,
Okay.
I'm out. Screw the Eagles. Seattle. I'm changing my pick in Seattle. Lane Johnson's out. Are you kidding me? He's out for the season? Can't get any worse.
All right. On that note, that'll do it for us for week 12.